Steve Merril with a big game breakdown for you in the late card tonight on Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern on the SEC network between Florida and Ole Miss. Two unranked teams that are combined on the season, though 23-5 straight up. So it's an important game for both squads. And one of the reasons Ole Miss isn't ranked, even though they're 13-1 straight up, they've been extremely fortunate to be 13-1. In fact, if you look at the Ken Palm luck rankings, 362 teams. And yes, Ole Miss has been the luckiest team in college basketball so far this season. Now, the luck ranking is basically saying you've won more games straight up than you should have. So they're not as good as their 13-1 record. And that's because they have had some close wins over the last month or so. But they're coming off that first loss of the season. And boy, was it a blowout loss this past Saturday at Tennessee. And they were exposed. 12-point dog, lost the game outright by 26, shot 42.5% from the field. But the defense was the problem, 47% allowed, and they really were manhandled by the Volunteers. But they're facing a different type of opponent now in the Florida Gators, a Florida team that likes to play fast and might not get their preferred tempo on the road tonight. Florida is one of the top 20 fastest teams in the country this year, and I think Ole Miss will look to slow them down a bit here as Ole Miss is in the bottom 100 in tempo. And I've always said home teams can usually dictate the tempo of play better. A couple other things that concern me about Florida. First of all, not a good free throw shooting team. They hit only 65% from the charity stripe this season. Meanwhile, Ole Miss is shooting 73% from the free throw line. And in a competitively priced game, that could very well be the difference down the stretch. Ole Miss also the much better three-point shooting team, hitting an incredible 40% this year. Now, some of that is random variance, and another reason they're probably a little bit lucky, not quite as good as that 13-1 record. But I do think we get the better shooting team here at home as a home dog. The early money's coming on Florida, though. This line opened around 1. Now it's up to 2.5 across the board. I do think Florida's the better overall team despite having the weaker record. But the setup tonight looks better for Ole Miss at home, home dog with just one loss, undefeated 8-0 home court, coming off a bad loss, and the better shooting team overall. So we'll go against that money move, lean towards Ole Miss here, plus the 2.5 with the big game here at 9 o'clock Eastern. And don't forget, I got a free best bet for this show coming up here a little bit later in just a couple minutes.
Hey, everybody. This is a happy Wednesday here in Las Vegas. Hopefully, we get you some winners today. Let's take a look at this Wisconsin-Ohio State game for tonight, heading back to my home state of Ohio. Badgers sit at 11-3 on the year with a perfect 3-0 in Big Ten play. They've reeled off 10 wins in 11 games, with the lone loss coming at Arizona 98-73. Wisconsin has an offensive effective field goal percentage of 52.7, with a 51.5% effective defensive rating, which is a little bit high for Wisconsin. They're normally a pretty good defense. They are 1-2 straight up in true road games this season, and they're coming off 4 straight games at home. Ohio State, very similar, 12-3 thus far, but only 2-2 in conference play. Last time they stepped out on the road, they lost to Indiana 71-65. So they're playing off of a loss, now 2-2 in conference. Now they have an offensive efficiency percentage of 52.0. Defensive number very good, 46.5% defensive efficiency. As I mentioned, with that 2-2 conference road record, this is a must-have game for the host. I prefer Ohio State in this one because I think Wisconsin's a little bit overrated right now. So we'll lay the small number here with the Buckeyes.
Hey, everybody, Rob Veno here with Wednesday's Big Game Breakdown, college basketball style. We're going to take a look at the UConn Xavier matchup here. First thing, the obvious thing to look at here, where Connecticut is concerned, is the Donovan Clingan injury, which took place right before Christmas and has kept him out the last couple of games and will keep him out for a month. Taking a look at those two games that UConn has played since then against DePaul and Butler, numbers suggest and eye tests suggest they're playing slightly quicker. Those last two games, some of that could be a product of Butler and DePaul as the opponents, but a major part of that is now they go a little bit small, right? The biggest guy on the floor at times for UConn at this point in time is 6'8" Alex Caravan, veteran power forward. It forces UConn. It doesn't actually force them, but it creates a lineup that goes quicker, is better, quicker. Xavier is number 71 in the nation in offensive tempo. They'll probably run tonight against UConn, try and force UConn out of what's become a comfortable half-court methodical style offense. But again, got to roll with the punches here because without Klingon, things are changing for UConn. So overall statistics don't mean as much with UConn right now over the course of these next few games while he's missing. Um, Taking a look at one of the keys here, probably going to be rebounding. UConn's an excellent rebounding team if you just take a look at their overall numbers. But again, without the 7-2 giant in the middle, things do change a little bit. And without him, those overall numbers do become a little bit skewed, and they may lead to Xavier getting a lot of second chances on the offensive glass tonight. They're a terrific offensive rebounding team. So I would expect second chance opportunities, possibly second chance points out of Xavier this evening. And without Klingon defending the rim, on the other end, the guard trio of Xavier, not necessarily great 3-point shooters, but I think they're going to attack the rim here tonight. McKnight, Oliveri, and Claude probably become a lot more aggressive going to the rim without Klingon standing there. His presence missed on that end as well. With all of that said, UConn offensively has shot 54.5 and 58.2% from the field in their last two games without Klingon in the lineup. They've gone a little bit crazy from three here, 38.5 and 46.2% from 3-point range. So they're still scoring the basketball again. Some of that could have been due to the opposition, DePaul and Butler, but I don't see much difference in Xavier. Xavier's probably a better defensive team. But they're going to have their hands full with the UConn offense here as well. I'm going to go ahead and take a look here at playing this game up and over the total. Currently sits at 145 and a half, 146 in that range. I think that Xavier, again, will have opportunities to score here that they haven't had against some opponents this season. And I think UConn on the other end is shooting really well right now and probably continues that. So let's give a shot here for the big game breakdown with UConn Xavier up and over the total.
Steve Merril back with a free play for you here for Wednesday night college basketball. This game goes at 8:30 Eastern in the Big Ten. We're going to look at the Ohio State-Wisconsin game. Just a quick reminder, if you want my official best bets for Wednesday night college basketball, same best bets that won a perfect 2-0 sweep last night for my clients on Tuesday. Be sure to check out my page tonight on Wednesday. It's a huge college basketball card coming off a 2-0 sweep last night on Tuesday. We're seeing it well. Get Wednesday's top best bets right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And while you're there, don't forget that 1-year all-access special instant 41% discount is still available with promo code SM365. I know you missed the first week and a half of January, but the good news is you get the first week and a half next year of January 2025 because it's a full 365 days whenever you start, and that offer is still available. Works out to just over $3 a day for every sport, every play, football, baseball, basketball, for the next full 365 days. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Don't forget bonus free plays daily as well on my page at WagerTalk. All right, free play here for the show. We're going to look at under the total between Ohio State and Wisconsin. Hey, we're in conference play now. Always get a little bit more defensive intensity in conference play, and both teams off to a pretty good start. At least Wisconsin 3-0 in conference play. Ohio State, meanwhile, just 2-2, despite being 12-3 on the season. And overall, they are 9-6 to the over this year. But I think it's a little misleading because Ohio State is one of the 100 slowest teams pace-wise in college basketball, and of course, Wisconsin year in and year out is one of the slowest. In fact, in the Ken Palms right now, they rank 320th right now in tempo, adjusted tempo rating. So I do think this will be a slow half-court game tonight. Wisconsin likes to play that way, and I think Ohio State at home will force the tempo, and it'll be slow as well. And Ohio State is struggling to shoot the ball, 36% shooting or worse in two of their last three games, and that's one of the reasons they failed to cover three straight. Wisconsin's shooting the ball excellent, though, 50% three straight games, but those were all at home. And they're taking a step up in class now on the road. In fact, the last time they were on the road was at Arizona back in early December. It's been a full month since they've had a true road game. They shot just 41% in that game. Right before that, they played at Michigan State. That game landed at 127 and stayed under the total. Two good defensive half-court teams here that I think will slow the tempo down tonight. Take a look at under 137.5 between Wisconsin and Ohio State. Yes, this total's dropped about a full basket from the opener, but that's because there's sharp money in agreement with the under here. Always want to be on the sharp side when it comes to college basketball totals. And I think the sharp side is under Wisconsin, Ohio State tonight at 8:30 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Don't forget my strongest best bets for my personal clients win a perfect 2-0 sweep last night on Tuesday. Get my strongest best bets tonight on Wednesday right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. You can try out the 1 day. You can try out a 1 week, a 1 month. But if you're ready to take a serious, consistent investment approach for the entire year, Consider that all sports, all access special and get an instant 41% discount with promo code SM365. What a great time to get on board and start taking a serious long term investment approach all the way into January of 2025. Works out to just over $3 a day. Hey, that works out to about $1.50 per play for the next full year. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM.
For our best bet here from Bryan Leonard Sports on Wednesday, take a look at that Indiana State Drake game. Been a big fan of the Sycamores all season long. They're off a 13-2 start to the season, going a perfect 4-0 in the Missouri Valley Conference. The two losses on the year, they've come at Alabama by 22 and at Michigan State by 12. Two pretty good basketball teams. This is a high-quality team that has had a lot of success this season for us. We've been on Indiana State many times, have been rewarded. They have an outstanding offensive effective field goal percentage of 61.0. That's one of the best in the nation, while allowing just 48.4. So they've got a nice spread there between the two. It means this is a very good basketball team. The Drake Bulldogs, on the other hand, 12-3 overall, 3-1 in conference play. They're playing on an undefeated home court. But the best victory here was against Missouri State, a team that we have ranked 130th in the nation. We're also concerned about the Bulldogs' effective field goal percentage numbers, 54.0 offensively, 52.0 defensively. That 2-point differential is pretty low considering this team is 12-3 on the season. They've been able to win a lot of the close games. I'll take Indiana State in this one. I think they're the better team. Line tells you they're the better team. And we'll go with Indiana State on the road here as our best bet for Wednesday.
All right, let's take a look at today's best bet. Again, going back to the Big East well for this one, Providence at St. John's. Kind of a two-pronged play here for a best bet. So I'm going to leave you at the end with two choices. I'll give you my preferred choice and then a secondary choice, both of which I like quite a bit here. But right now, at this point in time, you got to love St. John's improvement level under head coach Rick Pitino. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. They've got a pair of double-digit Big East wins in their last 2 games, and they're playing head coach Pitino's up-tempo style to a T at this point in time. The number 68 in offensive tempo, adjusted offensive tempo in the land at this point in time. Very quick. It's a pressure-style defense that'll also run on offense. They've scored 81 or more points in 4 of their last 5 games. Providence, on the other hand, predicated on strong defense, the number 3 defensive efficiency team in the land, and their home court. If you take a look at the 15 games played by Providence so far this season, as I mentioned, number 3 in defense in the land, but 11 of their 15 games have been at home this season. They've only played 2 true road games, 2 neutrals, 2 true road. In those 2 true road, they played Oklahoma at Norman, lost by 21 points. And just Saturday, they went out to Nebraska to play Creighton, lost 69-60. So you've got 9 and 21 point losses to quality opposition on the road. Makes us wonder a little bit about head coach Kim English, who's in his first year at Providence, about his team on the road. They're going to face a very tough St. John's team at this point in time here tonight. So it could be difficult for them. Again, second road in 3 days, or in 4 days, excuse me. I'm going to look at St. John's here to control pace in this particular game. I think their current numbers show that they shoot the ball every 16.1 seconds, which is extremely fast. It actually ranks 54th in the country. As good and as tough as Providence's defense is, they allow teams to shoot every 16.8. So you got a team that shoots every 16.2 very quick, a team that allows one every 16.8, also very quick. That's 88th fastest in the nation. I think when you add all that up, it suggests that, well, let's throw this in there real quick, because Providence is a turnover-prone team, and St. John's forces turnovers. So where St. John's is concerned, they're going to pressure you, probably in this game turn Providence over because of the matchup style. And then on offense, St. John's is going to run as well. They play 94-foot tempo. I think that lends itself to a fast-paced game. Providence fell into one against Butler, another team that's offensive-oriented. They played that game, and it was an 85-75 final, 160 points. I think the Friars get caught up in a little bit of a faster paced game here. They are not a methodical team on the offensive side, ranking number 131 in adjusted offense. Again, you start putting these pieces together. The style matchup gonna favor St. John's here in my mind. Providence's road losses, 9 and 21 points to quality opposition. Current St. John's form. I think all of that leads to a game here that goes over 146 points, but I would not argue anybody off of playing St. John's -7.5 also. So those are the two plays. The primary play here will be over 146. But again, I wouldn't argue anybody off of St. John's the way they're going right now. So that'll be your best bet for today. Providence at St. John's over 146 points.